Hi, everyone. This is AJ. I'm the CCO of G3S. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, AJ, you are audible.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I think, thank you, Musab. Appreciate it. So I think we'll kick off now. I'm just waiting for a couple more people to join in. So my name is AJ. I'm the Chief CCO of G3S, and we're going to be conducting our one of the first webinars, which is part of Global Sustainability Learning. Today's subject is decarbonization, as you probably have seen. Um, my colleagues here, I have Satyapal Singh, who's the CEO and founder, and Chelam Muraj, who's the co-founder and CTO. Guys, you can hear me okay?
Perfectly. Thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Excellent. And so the structure will be, we'll go over some of the slides, information, the learning process for the first 20-25 minutes. And then we'll open to questions. In the meantime, everyone will be on mute, and we'll have enough time to go over Q&A at the end. So let's give one more minute for everyone to join in. I had a large attendance. I just want to make sure everybody is able to join. And thank you again and welcome.
So I think AJ, we can start it. While okay, some more people may join at the later stage. So uh, once again, thank you everyone for joining this topic, so which nowadays becoming quite prevalent at the business level and individual level to take the necessary actions so that everyone can contribute to minimize the emissions in their own way. Just to give a brief, so myself, Satyapal Singh, as the co-founder and the CEO, and I worked in this sector for the past over 15, 16 years, working in the climate change, sustainability, and environmental planning, and work in the region primarily for the past 1 decade in the Middle East, and before that in India and Southeast Asia. So we understand the kind of the threat which are posed due to the climate change. So we will just uh, take it this as a presentation to make you sure that at the end of the presentation everyone is able to understand that where as at their individual level in the company they can take the gradual step to make sure that over a period of time the emissions are minimized, and what globe is talking to keep the temperature within 1.5 degrees centigrade from the pre-industrial level, that we remain within that one. And while in the past 1.5 decade, we have advised and consulted over 300 plus clients and deliver over 1000 plus projects related to this domain. So I hope at the end of this presentation, the team is able to uh, understand the all fundamentals and technology and the process and market-based mechanism which are available and kind of the incentives which are available. So with this brief, Raj, if you can just also give your introduction, then we can take it further.
Thank you, Satya. Hi, all. Good afternoon. Myself, Chelam Muraj, working as a Chief Technical Officer in Global Energy and Environment Engineering. Have 15 plus years of experience in sustainability, carbon advisory, renewable energy, and environment, and both environment and again sustainability in both building sector and corporate. I have worked on various assignments which helped me to advise the clients both on the policy perspective and again implementation perspective of the low carbon solutions specific to industry and specific to the company. So with this, I would like to keep it very crisp and we can move ahead with the discussion for today's topic.
We'll give the also brief about as a company. So we founded in year 2014, based out in Masdar City, Abu Dhabi, and serving from this office over 250 plus clients on behalf of this company. And right now the headquarters is based out in Abu Dhabi, and our presence have been as a company in the US, Canada, Switzerland, UAE, KSA, and India. Uh, just some of the our services, which include the industrial automation, data analytics, dashboard, fuel tech, IoT, carbon advisory, drone-based GIS service, and most important, recently, the one which we are bringing into the market are the sustainability index tool, GHG carbon footprinting tool, sustainability material review tools, and climate risk assessment tool. I think these are the four tools which are going to definitely bring a significant change in the market to make sure that gradual step and scientific based steps are taken to reduce their emissions and excel in their sustainability performance. I'll not go much into this. Uh, we understand that in terms of the climate change that uh, for the past over 100 years, the emissions have significantly rose, and that's where this issue related to the climate change is being one of the most discussed topics today. And not necessarily there are the critics also and skepticals also, but the fact remains that when there are possibility to take the action to minimize the emissions, then those are the things which the whole market is trying to undertake it. That in case not for the skeptical people, in case if this is happening due to the anthropogenic activity, then can we take the actions? And that's where the decarbonization come into the pictures. Actually, okay, so we know in terms of like kind of the impact that we are facing due to the climate change, including the accelerated ice loss, impact on food security, displacement of the communities, and we see that climate change is projected to reduce the crop yield globally, with the estimated suggesting that maize, wheat, rice yield could decline by 3 to 10% for every 1 degree Celsius. While we know that population is rising, other side, and if we are going to have even the yield lesser, so there is going to be the significant change or difference in the demand versus supply, and it poses the global risk on the food supply side. So these are the some of you can say examples which like okay at the global level we see that need to be addressed, and we see the kind of changes and problem, heat wave, extreme weather, high mortality, changes in ocean current, change in crop yield, drought, rising temperature, wildfires, freshwater scarcity, floods. All these are the fundamentals to live, and if these are going to be changed beyond the acceptable limit, that's where the risk comes to the humanity, and that's where like okay all coordinated actions are required. And one of important steps which the global leaders have agreed in terms of taking the together actions is to reduce the GHG emissions. And before that, also to understand the scale again, how climate change could impact the world greatest cities. Like so, as per the research, like 1.6 billion living in over 970 cities will be regularly exposed to extreme high temperatures, and over 800 million people living in 570 cities will be vulnerable to sea level rise, and 650 million people in over 500 cities are at risk of water shortage due to the climate change. These numbers are significant, And even like, okay, particularly from food supply side, 2.5 billion people will be living in over 1600 cities where national food supply is threatened by climate change. As we know that in the globe, largely the food pattern, or you can say agriculture, is still depend on the rain-fed area, which we say that a natural rain which we get it. And if that has been the basis of the civilization for the many centuries, and if this gets changed, we are talking about the huge or large migration from one area to another area to adapt it. So these are the very big and kind of out of range problems. So it required the collective effort. So one of the major milestones which the world leader has achieved is to agree under the Paris Climate Agreement to decarbonize their emissions and take the voluntary action in order to commit to reach to net zero emissions, depending on where they stand today. So, Raj, if you want to just add particularly on this, you can just add it.
Thank you, Satya. So the world leaders have taken steps towards decarbonizing the globe right from 2005, and again implementation has started and it has gained momentum. But in between post 2012, there is a slight lag, and again global nations have come together at different platforms and had a discussion. And COP21 that was held in Paris, France, has achieved a significant breakthrough, and again, countries have agreed to take voluntary cuts, and again, so that we reduce the temperature increases at the worst case by 2 degrees Celsius, and in the best case scenario, 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2050. So that's where everybody is keen in transitioning towards the low carbon economy to decarbonize their what you say, the production, the consumption, and people are becoming more and more um, aware about the carbon emissions, the impact what they're creating at all levels. People are trying to reduce the carbon emissions. So when we talk more about carbon, apart from carbon, there are multiple GHG gases like carbon dioxide, methane, N2O, HFCs, PCFs, PFCs, and SF6, um, and the fluorides. So, which is recognized by UNFCCC, United Nations Climate Change Convention for Climate Change, recognize these six gases, and multiple conglomerates, corporates, and the global bodies are focusing on controlling these emission of these gases into the atmosphere, which will reduce the impact of global warming and ultimately the climate change. So if you see, most of the emission comes from the as carbon dioxide emission, 65 percentage of the total emissions. This is a huge contribution, and this adds because of the human activities, or you can say the products or the consumables what a human consume in their day-to-day life. Next slide, Satya.
Like, okay, so before we go into again the decarbonization, so we need to understand the gases, like as you said, like, okay, the CO2 and methane, CH4. These are the two gases which have been the primarily responsible for contributing to GHG emission. And we see there are multiple sources for these gases, and then uh, in order to quantify these gases, these have been again categorized in the way of quantification, which we call in the market ways, like you can say uh, estimation, scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. So basically, that has been the basis to quantify these gases. And scope one gases are or emissions are the direct emissions from the company owned and controlled resources. In other words, the emissions are released into the atmosphere as a direct result of a set of activity at a firm level. So I would say like, okay, it is very important to understand these categorization in future in order to like, okay, take the gradual step, because that's how the whole, you can say, market talks, like when it comes to taking the emissions, taking the action. So any emissions which are happening directly from your business boundary, those falls under the scope one. And emissions which are happening outside your boundary, but you are consuming that energy, for example, the electricity, chilled water, and even desalinated water, which you can say is produced from other place, but it comes to your boundary, and due to your consumption, those emissions are happening outside, but those are called scope 2. And more important, like, okay, where individual can take an actions also, which are typically under the scope 3 emissions, which are the kind of the emissions like in the process of your business, whatever activity you do. For example, I come from my home to office, but I'm coming for the purpose of my office work. So those emissions which are between, you can say, my home to office, those you can say travel emissions falls under, let's say, scope 3. Similarly, I travels, or like anyone who travels for the purpose of the business related activity in the business class or economy class. So those emissions fall under the scope 3. Then again, let's say due to your business activity, you have numerous activity in terms of waste generation, and those once that waste is generated, again it is collected and taken to landfill. And collection, transportation is also the part of that emission under the scope 3. And then once it is disposed of, again it has its own biodegradable activity or phenomena, which also release into the atmosphere some kind of methane emissions, largely in the landfill that we come across are the methane emissions, let's say. Okay, so then you have also the certain control resource, or you can say lead asset. All such kind of the emissions falls under the scope 3. So totally there are the 15 activities, or you can say 15 categories which are defined under the scope 3. And those are the something where the organization can take a significant step to reduce those GHG emissions. However, the organization have a very little control over the scope 2 emissions, because many organization or any industry who is running on most of the industry who run on the power, so they are not in the power business, and they would not want to be in that business, because their focus might be on their main product, whatever like okay, they are producing, and they need the power. So ultimately, whatever the grid emissions are, or grid emissions factor is contributing to the emissions, that is being allocated to them corresponding to their energy consumption. So now coming back to why we need, like, okay, are there any benefit of this? One is that we are talking about the global threat, and all leaders are, having annual meeting. Some of you might be aware, which we call the COP meeting, Conference of Parties, and that's, you can say, the apex body under the United Nations Framework Climate Convention, Climate Change, UNFCCC, where world leader gather and take the necessary, you can say, the actions, or agree to take the action on behalf of each country, first to agree that what kind of the actions are required, and then get them on table that which country need what level of the action in order to achieve the decarbonization. And on such note, like, okay, recently in UAE, COP28 meetings happen, and the next year it is going to happen in Azerbaijan. So in that, this review is done, that what percentage of the emissions the country has reduced from the last year. let's say, and what actions are being taken up. Okay, so this is a big, you can say, subject, because at the end we cannot adopt also the business at the cost of completely fragiling the environment and the society and the pattern in which the our whole ecosystem work. So it is very important that in case if there is a impact due to the GHG emissions, then to take the necessary actions. So in terms of understanding the GHG emissions or reductions key benefit, so one side there are the regulatory compliance which are coming across based on the sector also, and sometimes based on the also um, even based on the product also. Like, okay, so that's the one. And another thing, better air quality. Who doesn't want to breathe a good air quality actually? Okay, so which ingredient where we inhale 24 hour, and that ingredient we can't let it to reach to the level where it become a kind of non-livable planet. So it's very important also from that. And sustainable economic growth. So this sustainable word is also quite frequently used across the globe. And when we say the sustainable, it is just simply trying to balance it out between your the way that you do the business, but for the purpose of the two, society, and also minimizing the environmental impact. So that's what, like, okay, in terms of the sustainable economic growth which we talk, rather than we extract it for the very specific business for their own greed or own, you can say, the financial purpose, and it keeping or leaving the problem to someone else. So that doesn't falls under the sustainable economic growth. That's all. And then slowed climate change and cost saving. So people should not also look that decarbonization is trying to also stop doing the business or completely um, kind of discouraging the existing energy sources, but rather then it also asks to optimize your emissions wherever it is possible, rather than like, okay, you are wasting it without caring for the environment. And in that manner it leaves an opportunity in terms of the cost saving. And also there are the technology which have come up in the market which are the efficient. So it asks the industry to use such technology so that you can reduce your operational emissions also. Okay, and who doesn't want it? Some technology which has been developed for some purpose in the laboratory should not come into the industry. All want it, and that's how, like, okay, it also promotes such technology to bring it into you can say your mainstream business. And then improve stakeholder relations, because you are caring as part of this whole process about the all supply chain of the members. So definitely it also help you to go in the long way in your business. So these are the some of the key benefit, like, okay, which take it. Raj, over to you.
Yeah, coming to the so we understood like the benefits and why decarbonization important and what is its benefits. So the previous last slides, and then to integrates every industry or every corporate plans. There are multiple market mechanisms are in place, but now everybody is converging and to find to build a unified framework so that meaningful actions can be taken and uniformity can be followed over the globe. So science-based target initiative is now being focused, and all net zero, or you can say low carbon transition, is following this framework and trying to achieve the climate global warming potential, the temperature increase limitation by 1.5 degrees Celsius, at least below 2, preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius. So SBTI talks about different, it guides company or the firm to do things in a step-by-step approach. So which we could discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. Next slide. So SBTA also identifies different technological interventions for different sectors like industries, agriculture, building, transportation, energy. What could be what possible intervention can be made so that our transition towards low carbon emission is possible. So in the industry, to the major extent, we should try to utilize the combined heat and power, implement smart technologies so that you have a constant monitoring and feedback so that you understand what is the emission, find out the root cause for the excessive emission wherever possible, arrest the emission, record it, and become a meaningful example for others to follow and improve yourselves from day by day, improving your performance also. Then recycling the waste, trying finding out alternative materials. So by reducing the pressure on the virgin resources which the globe has, which is very limited. Renewable energy sources, carbon capture and utilization, and green hydrogen. These are the possible technologies which could contribute for the industry to help them move towards the low carbon production, low carbon, encouraging low carbon consumption also in the market. On the other hand, agriculture, which provides the food for the global population, smart farming practice should come in place, and it should be it should penetrate at all levels so that conventional farming is shifted to more efficient farming, both in way of water consumption, or you can say methane emission, because farming is one of the major sector which contributes to the greenhouse gas emission. It contributes up to 10 percentage of the GHG emission annually to the globe. Buildings play a crucial role where we spend a considerable amount of time. Either you live in a building or you work also in a building. So 13% of the global emission is coming from the building. So building has um, uh, equipments, HVAC equipments and other equipments which have been fitted in the building for the comfort, for our living comfort, has emission. So try to minimize, improvise the efficiency of those systems. Try to find out innovative systems to meet the human comfort within the building. You can implement smart grid and trying to find the environment friendly construction materials, and you can track the energy so that the wastage is identified and arrested, so that the energy consumption intensity is also reduced, thereby contributing to the carbon dioxide avoidance. And the transportation is one of the inevitable sector which has a major contribution. Up to 29% of the emissions are from the transportation, because human move from place to place, and again the products or the raw materials move from place to place, which contributes, which consumes energy and then in turn emits the carbon into the atmosphere. So electrification could be one of the possible solution, wherein electricity generation has uh, less carbon intensity than the other gas fossil fuels which you use for transportation purpose. So finding alternative biofuel, even still if you want to stay in the carbon-based fuel, finding alternative biofuels which could help, and alternate technologies for transportation like fuel cells, hydrogen, etc., would again intervene into the transportation sector to reduce the carbon emission. And the energy sector, where the energy is supplied to all industry, buildings, agriculture, and to some extent transportation, is contributing towards 23% of the emissions. So reducing the, increasing the renewable component, and managing the demand side management, and improving the efficiency and energy storage and other technologies to store energy, and which will help the sector to decarbonize itself. Next slide.
Great. I think this is the very important, you can say, you can say, slide in terms of understanding the possible all technologies, which like at either the building level or industry level or transportation, energy side, the things can be done. And fundamentally, again, like okay, decarbonization also try to push the organization to be efficient. And who doesn't want to be efficient in today's world? Like okay, because you pay for your energy, and why if there is opportunity to reduce that energy intensity, so we use it in the word, one of the very important parameter called the energy consumption per tons of your product. As long as if you can reduce that energy consumption per tons of the product, you are going toward the increasing your efficiency toward the energy intensity, and which result into the saving. So, uh, like there are the companies who have established their target to be net zero. So, then there are the countries also who have also set their target to be net zero, and there is the step by step process to be followed. And possibly, like with this presentation, we can circulate among the all people to understand that okay, how gradually the company can move from the current status to achieve to a certain level to demonstrate that they are efficient in their process and business. To just give an examples from industry side, Google, for example, commit to carbon neutral by 2025, leveraging 100% of renewable energy since 2017. So, Ørsted, a Danish energy company, aimed for carbon neutral by 2025. Tesla leads in electric vehicle with the zero tailpipe emissions. Then company like SAR invest in innovative technology, targeting fossil uh, free steel production by 2026. Agriculture and food production, Denon commit to carbon neutral by 2050. So these are the some of the industry practice that what they have committed and what they have achieved. And just to understand the scale, that it is not like okay, a small task for the global level to decarbonize the full industry. And it is expected that a significant investment of over $125 trillion is required by 2050 to achieve net zero, which is mammoth actually. Okay, so it is entirely going to be driven by the financial institutions and the top level, you can say, fund who see the balance between the available technology and existing technology to transit gradually. And that's where the SPTI come, that which was science-based target, that there is a rate at which you can change the things. We can target something very ambitious, but scientifically, if it is not possible to transit, then your all goals and target will be just as a fictional. Okay, so therefore that's where like okay, this comes, one side is the fund, another side is technology, and then there is a transition rate. So just to give like okay, which are the country who have achieved the net zero? Suriname, Bhutan, these are the country who has achieved a net zero target. And then few country which have already committed and brought as a regulatory law to be the net zero, include the Sweden, UK, France, Denmark, New Zealand, Hungary. And some countries who are drafting and propose the legislation include European Union, Canada, South Korea, Spain, Chile, Fiji, and some other countries have also voluntarily announced it, but not as a legal things. Okay. And then there are the market-based mechanism, that when you transit from the high emissions activity to the low emissions activity, then there are the um, credit which are generated. So these credit typically we call the carbon credit, or we call sometimes the environmental attributes actually. Okay, so or you can say environmental commodity. Sometimes these are in the market. Like okay, so for every tons of the carbon reduction, you have the one carbon credit, and that carbon credit is purchased by the global fund to incentivize you that you have reduced it. Like okay, so such one of the mechanism is the CDF, but there are the other mechanism as well. And then Similarly, when you generate the 1 megawatt hours of electricity clean, either from wind, solar, hydro, geothermal, or from nuclear, or any source which falls under the clean, you get the one REC, sometimes we call the renewable energy certificate or environmental attribute certificates, let's say EAC. So that's the things which help. Decarbonization is not just like it has been left to the industry. There are the market-based mechanisms which are helping the industry to transit from the current level to the next levels. Okay, and then there is another thing which start, we call the cap and trade, that someone is allowed to emit the fixed uh, number of allowance, or you can say the tons of emissions. You are not allowed beyond that. If you do so, you need to offset it through the someone else, like okay, those carbon credit or EAC and so on. Okay, so there are the mechanism in the market, but in terms of the giving a just like okay rough idea that how much it cost you for the 1 megawatt of solar versus wind and hydro and conventional coal, it's it almost a decade back, solar was very expensive and nobody thought that it can come to this current level where it is more competitive than what the other conventional source. So, in fact, it is less than 1 million, 1.3 million per megawatt in many of the country. But like, okay, at this rate, payback period from 5 to 7, it is a very good, reliable source also to transit in future. Hydroelectric, which is again a very good source, clean, and so again this depending on the like okay locations and how difficult it is to build the infrastructure depending on the dam site location. It means 10 to 20 years payback period. Wind, again, it is quite prevalent in many of the country, like the Germany and also some other European country, even in India. So that's payback period is from 5 to 10, again depending on the site location. Coal, which have been the conventional, is not that cheap because it is in all way you have to mine it from the some location, bring it, and then use it for your power. So that's the like okay, typical cost. So coming back again to decarbonization roadmap, similar to net zero, there are the sequential steps which a company can follow and achieve these targets. So I'll not take it, but like in terms of methodology, that organization need to list all possible initiative which they can take it, because you as a company cannot tomorrow take the certain step beyond your limit, and you need to put it in terms of the low benefit or high benefit and the low and high cost, and see it which are the initiative you can take it gradually over a period of time and develop your roadmap and continue to improve your performance. That has to be the way forward to achieve the decarbonization in the process. So just also giving in today's world, like okay, we hear a lot more about blockchain and AI, and we know that uh, there are the huge data centers which consume the uh, a significant amount of energy, and then again this comes into pictures that are these data centers are the green, because we are moving for the digitization, but digitization consume the energy, and that energy need to be again the green, and then only you can say that this is contributing to decarbonization. So just giving a a brief about that how much it consume. For example, carbon footprint of a large language model GPT, daily carbon footprint is equivalent to almost 50 pounds of CO2 or 8.4 tons annually. And training GPT with 175 billion parameter consume around 1.2 or 1287 megawatt hours of electricity, emitting to 502 metric tons of carbon. So it's not the things that when we move from, let's say, paper based or from other things to digital, then we are simply reducing the GHG emissions. Yes, definitely in the net it will be, but these need to be accounted that how much of emissions we have it in background. So then we will be coming to real picture that these are the net emissions that we have been able to reduce it. So most important also in today's, like, okay, when we talk about the decarbonization again, it start from the building the team within the organization. And organization, when we say it start from the board members, until unless there is someone at the board level, no one is going to hear your voice, and then your all you can say plans, initiative and talks would remain on paper actually, until unless that allocation is there, then all these you can say objectives and target will be difficult to achieve it. So board members supported by the sustainability manager, and then again supported by the minimum specialist for the energy specialist, waste specialist, water and digital and so on. That has to be the minimum you can say the structures in order to work on this, and it has to be the one cell which will continue to improve your resource efficiency, and then wherever there is a possibility to reduce the emissions, then find those opportunities. So I think this is the just brief, and AJ, over to you. I think we took the significant amount of time, so thank you guys.
Thank you, Satyapala, and thank you, Chalanraj. Appreciate your insight, thoughts, and comments. We'll open the floor to Q&A now. If you want to raise your hand, my colleague Varun will open the mic for you. So the Q&A, the questions are open now. We don't see any hands. Just to encourage everyone, if you have any questions, comments, or insights, happy to discuss that on open mic. If you don't want to come on the mic, obviously you can send in a chat question. Chat's open as well.
So meanwhile, someone raises any question, I just wanted to emphasize on the steps guided by the SBTI to achieve the net zero. So SBTI has the following steps. It guides anyone to set up a target first, and then define your baseline, and identify the measures and implement those measures, and assess the emissions what you are able to avoid. At the same time, transit to a renewable energy source, which again will directly will have a direct impact on the emissions that you are going to avoid, and try to participate in the circular economy, and develop your own policies and incentives to support this reductions within your organization, monitor it and report it, and repeat the process to achieve it.
Miraj, there is a question from Ruchi. Can you explain the work of energy managers?
Uh, okay. Energy is an integral part of any industry or building or transportation sector, whatever it is. So there is energy consumption. So energy manager is the one who monitors the consumption pattern, and assess the intensity. The intensity is best in the country or in the region or globally, and to strive towards setting the target to achieve towards the best performance, and improve yourself day by day. And energy manager should be aware about the recent developments, what's happening in the market, which helps the firm move towards or transit towards a low carbon economy, and whatever possible should be implemented within their firm. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you, Shailendra. That was great. There's another question here. Is it possible to achieve zero carbon footprint practically?
Yes, it's possible. Google has a target, and there are multiple conglomerates who have set targets to achieve it. It's definitely possible. That is a streamlined steps which SBTA has clearly framed. Follow those steps, it's definitely possible to achieve the net zero.
Thanks again. And I've got Zavid. He has multiple questions on one question, which is from recent research on e-vehicles, say the emission is 10% more than conventional, how this can be overcome. And the second part is how hydrogen-based vehicle technology can be considered as impact as an alternative to e-vehicles. So E versus the hydrogen vehicles.
Yes, electric vehicle with certain set of performance, the net emission is 10% more than the conventional emission. But however, now interventions are happening at each level, and the EV industry is trying to bring in sustainable products so that the emissions are less than the conventional fuel one. On the other hand, electric vehicle, you can't say it's a zero emission vehicle anyway. It's going to consume the electricity, and electricity has its own emission. So the carbon intensity of the electricity, what is going to be consumed, should be brought down. Uh, Nation has its own target to juggle the energy mix from renewable to conventional, so that the carbon intensity of the power is reduced. So ultimately, your electric vehicle emission also will come down. One. On the other hand, hydrogen technology majority is in research level, and the problem with hydrogen is like the hydrogen molecule is very small, and again handling it and handling the leakage at the level where we require is quite difficult. But on the other hand, for a larger power plant, or you can say the power generation units, definitely it's feasible. Work is on, and we will see in our lifetime the hydrogen production plants, hydrogen energy production plants.
Thank you for that. And there's a very good question. What's the difference between decarbonization and circular economy?
Decarbonization is trying to find alternative ways for a product manufacturing or an activity to avoid the carbon emission. On the other hand, circular economy is like you are trying to recycle the resource. That you don't go allow the resource to go waste. So one or the other way it will be used. That's the difference between decarbonization and circular economy.
Very good. Thanks again for that. And Satyapal, there's another question that's regarding our carbon credits. Satyapal, if you can answer that one for us. Are you able to see the question?
Yes. So the questions from the gentleman is parameters which delivers a better price for the carbon credits and how the G3S can help assist on this. Briefly let me know and the role of G3S on the quantification to liquidation of the carbon credit for a certain. So well, first of all, I'll take the second part, which in terms of helping the clients to register their project in order to claim the carbon credit. And we work like both myself and my partner, we have worked over 100 plus, 150 plus, you can say various technology project to register under the various registry, and in the Middle East and also in Southeast Asia, ranging from hydro, wind, solar, waste to energy, chemical industry related, and waste heat recovery project, and also a biomass based power plant, and so on. So now coming to this specific first part, parameters which deliver the better price for the carbon credit and how G3S can help. First thing that we have to understand the fact that these are the mechanism which has come to make the project financially viable, because when this decarbonization or carbon emissions reduction talks started, then people started talking that these are costly affair. Why to switch from the conventional way to this one, let's say. So therefore, then this gap has to be supported by the certain market-based mechanism, and that's where the mechanism came to support. And then the pricing fundamentally has to be based on this basis that there is a gap in terms of, because whatever project that you are going to um, uh, you can say install or execute it, it is going to have its own direct benefit. But since your cost might be higher and you want to get compensated for that, so based on that, that's the first, you can say, the fundamental way of like, okay, the pricing. But we do see in the market that due to the various we can say the traders or so on, they fluctuated, which is again become like any other sensex market. But then that's not called the right market, because it came for the benefit, for helping the environment and society. If it also behave in the same pattern as like any other market which is in NYSE or BSE or anywhere, then it is fundamentally against the whole principle of the decarbonization and sustainability. Okay, so that's our very deep, you can see, the questioning to the many people who might be saying in this way. And now coming to the pricing, most of the buyers try to see it from the financial model point of view, that you had a cost and then you are going to have the return from the projects, and what are the, or what is the gap you require that is getting, you can say, over the period of the next 10 years or 15 year, whatever is the project life, let's say. And during that life, if this mechanism can help you to generate the certain sustainable cash revenue, so that you can be incentivized to choose such kind of the technology in the projects. Okay, so we work on this way first, like, okay, so again our um, support comes in the form of uh, identifying those quality projects. So again, there are the quality credit or quality criteria, which are in terms of the location, in terms of the contributing to the various SDGs, and contributing to the environmental benefit. All those things play the vital role in the carbon credit pricing. So I hope like we will be able to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was very good. So I have a question from Mayank, if I'm pronouncing the name right. So very good question, actually. As we see, there's a global trend towards the decarbonization. What will be the key challenge faced by the Middle East region, as its economy is still mostly dependent on the oil and gas? Either Chalamraj or Satya.
Okay, I'll take this question.
Yeah.
Middle East is a high energy intensive region where the energy consumption is very high. On the other hand, if you see, it is a producer of the oil and gas, so it has some production related GHG emissions. And as we see, as the technology evolves, and there are a lot of interventions to avoid the GHG emissions in the production process. But on the other hand, as a country as a whole, if you see, the energy source of energy is natural gas majorly. So the emission intensity is less compared to the other conventional fuels like coal and compared to coal. So still their energy intensity, their carbon intensity is very less. But UAE is working towards adding more renewable energy and working on demand side management, improving the energy efficiency in the consumer side. so that the energy consumption is reduced and in overall the GHG emissions from UAE is reduced. That's how UAE is transitioning now.
Thank you for that. And we have a next question that's in the chat. Priya, your mic is open if you want to ask the question, or should we go with your chat question? All right, I'll read the question from Priya. Priya says, I think Vera is giving good pricing for carbon credits in today's market. So I guess that was more of a comment, not a question. Any?
Yeah, this is a kind of a reply, probably, like, okay, but that that's the sad part, to be precisely. If you ask AJ, like, the carbon credit price is low and the Vera price is low. Let me state to you very fundamentally, when we started this working on the Vera and CDM 15 years back, 16 years, the project which does not used to qualify under the CDM used to go for the Vera, because those were not meeting many of the criteria. Okay, and which is very sad in today's market to see that CDM price is lower and the Vera price. We are not against of that, but that's a very good adaptable and flexible standard. That's why it has been survived, and it is more approachable and more, you can say, it is easier for use, and you can say, like, okay, where the private participant can easily transfer those credit and hold it, unlike in the CDM, where one of the you can see the factory that you can't transfer easily internally. You can only retire those credit, versus in the Vera, where you can hold it and then you can sell it. So the, definitely, yes, many of the projects, the clients are getting the good pricing under the Vera, and which is being right now used by many of the clients developing the various projects in the African market, even in Middle Eastern market right now, or in Southeast Asian market.
Thanks, Satyapal. Thank you for the answer there. There's another question from Kumar, a good one. Says, what are the best mitigation for GHG emissions?
So first of all, like, okay, there are the two level of the emission range. One is the business related emission, and second is the individual related. Okay. So when it comes to the business, it is not going to be the one person decision who will say that I will do in this way and I will take the actions and will reduce it. Business is always impacted by its stakeholder, its funder, investor, and so on. So um, um, therefore, the business related emissions has to be gradually, through the systematic approach, you can take the steps and then you can reduce it. In terms of, like, okay, what are the best mitigation for the GHG emissions? Like, okay, we know that, okay, when we are talking about the GHG emissions, primarily in the our process and energy industry, these are the two original place where emissions happen. We may call it transportation as a sector, we may call it building as a sector, we may call it XYZ other sectors. But in principle, when we are talking about the emission, we are talking about only the energy. Okay. So when we say that what is the good GHG, you can say, mitigation project, is something which had the less in emissions over a period of time. And now coming to the point that it has to be the reliable source, and it has to be the financially viable source, and it need to make sure that it play the backbone role in the energy industry. That's the good projects, actually. Okay, so that's all. I hope, like, it answered.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks again, Satyapal. So I have another question from a newcomer. So how can a newcomer get jobs in this field? What is the strategy should be, and what should they follow to achieve this?
So a newcomer, I would say I assume the newcomer is from uh, the relevant sector, either maybe energy, water, or waste, and he should work in that sector and understand the sector nuances and understands its interconnection towards carbon emissions. That could be the possible way so to master himself in the subject, and or this can be done part of the course curriculum what he's doing, or through internships or working with the different firms around the globe, and gain this knowledge and become an expert over the time, and then advise companies from there on.
Very good advice, Chalamraj. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Next question again, maybe for Satyapal there. And this is from Surendra. There is a project called David and Goliath Farms in UAE, who has secured around $5 million in carbon credits from vertical farming. Will G3S will be focusing on this industry as well?
So, well, AJ, let me also give the brief background. So, me and my founder both come from the agricultural background. First of all, okay, we even do the agriculture, so we understand the agriculture, the way that it is, you can say, grown, and what are the climatic related factors which play the important role versus when we talk about the greenhouse space, vertical farming, and particularly for the emergency times if you have to produce the food. So in terms of what we are doing, we are already on a project to make the agri-tech as in factors to play and contribute to the farmers, which we are still underway. And it is going to be the revolutionary product to help farmers in future. The reason is that uh, uh, lots of information and knowledge among the farmer is like one-to-one transferred from one generation to another generation. There is hardly any farming which is done based on the weather forecasting and exact data base or data driven farming. Okay, so that's where IoT and digital tech comes into the picture, and we are already working on creating the such farm which are going to be the high tech farm where you're watering to the soils, or you can say the farms will be based on the, let's say, measurement of the soil moistures and other parameters which are important for agriculture, and this will be the automated system rather than manual intervention in the you can say manual intervention in the agriculture. Okay, so we are already working now very specific to this particular farm which has secured the $5 million. uh, Definitely in terms of the UAE, where most of the food is imported outside. So these projects are very strategic to the region, because for any region, if the food supply is affected, you need to have the local food supply chain also available. And I see from that way as a significant project. But in terms of supporting or focusing on this industry, well, yes, we are already in it, and we you will see in very short times in a forefront to contribute to the sectors as well.
I would like to add to Satya's point here, and again, something on the vertical farming. So, vertical farming implements best practices, and it avoids carbon emissions that could happen in the conventional farming. So, this vertical farming could be one solution which can resolve the problem of a person without land. Also, it can motivate the person without sufficient land, or a small amount of land can do well with this vertical farming. Yes, Satapal mentioned, we are supporting our clients right from all the sectors wherever possible. Then as carbon emission is avoided, all such kind of projects can be taken by us, and we can support all our clients with the carbon credits.
Thank you, Chalamraj. And looking at the questions, I think there's no more questions. We'll give a few seconds. If somebody wants to jump in or raise your hand, feel free to do so. But yeah, yes, we appreciate you taking the interest and asking the questions. Yes, absolutely. Feel free to give us, send us an email, and we can connect and discuss this further.
One question which is, I think, is from the gentleman. Um, do you hire the newcomers in your GTS? How should one approach you? So let me state to you actually. So all our staff members so far, largely in the last 10 years, we started taking the people from fresh graduate where they used to have lots of difficulty because for experienced people's market is always open. Okay, and one should be knowing that consulting is the second teaching institution. Okay, so in university you pay your fees, but immediately to validate your knowledge you come in the consulting field where again you validate your all theoretical learning. Okay, so to create the sentiment towards the fresher to come and join the company, our request remain to anyone who join the company, they work for a considerable amount of time to deliver the good work and transit to the new people so that okay newcomers can come and join it. The biggest disruption which the existing businesses face is that people consider that my notice period is only 30 days and I don't care about that things actually. That's the most selfish way of any persons or anyone who can think it of without caring that even if someone is leaving, that I can leave someone else who can take that responsibility and can continue to work while I am getting some better or bigger opportunity. Okay. So I would say yes, we do take it and you are welcome. Please do send your CV and we will evaluate if there is a relevant, you can say, role. We will be more than happy to offer this opportunity.
Thanks, Satyapal. Appreciate it. And yeah, we're still waiting for any other questions. Appreciate it. Thank you, Surendra, and thank you, Deepa. So Deepa has a question. What other type of trainings can J3 can provide? Can we approach you for customized training?
Yes, so our trainings are all around in the sustainability and carbon footprinting and then sustainable design. So when we talk about the sustainability, we break up in the three segments. One is the corporate sustainability, which is more in the form of the policy, procedures, reporting, and strategy. And that's the, you can say, the important things before organize and take any step because these all decisions are taken at the corporate level. So we do provide the training related to the GRI training or corporate sustainability related training, but specific to the organization. But this has not yet been open to the individual person, but only to B2B. But like, okay, we are in the process of very soon having this program, which will be available for individual to get the certified training under the corporate sustainability. And another segment which we focus is the project sustainability. So project sustainability, when we say that each project has its own way of designing and supervising and delivering it, whether from the designing point or you can say from the conceptual idea till the delivery, all the sustainability factor has been considered or not. That plays a significant role. So we again provide that training B2B under the like lead standard or Istidama or similar such standard which are used in the project planning or project designing in the form of the building community or in the city. And the third, which we call it the digital tech. And for that version, we are having very soon our own softwares and tool, which will be helping the industries for achieving their sustainability goal. And these tools are going to be very unique to help them in coming times. Okay.
Just
Thank
to
you, Satyapal.
add,
Appreciate it. Go ahead.
Just to add, apart from tech solution, we also train the industrial person to um, how to analyze the performance of their unit process, something like pumps, air compressed air systems, or motors, or different systems in the industry, and try to help them to understand the mass and energy balance so that they can improve their performance by small interventions that could lead towards reducing the carbon emission. That's also one of the training what we provide in this region.
Thanks, Shalamraj, for that. And KB has also made a comment, Satyapal, that's probably towards you. He's a PhD holder in ecology and eager to transition into this field. So any comments on that?
Well, um, I have to say, first of all, like this is the sector which is still like, okay, we need someone who can be the committed for the long terms to work along with us. So as long as one is clear to partner in the long way to work with us, let's get connect. And AJ, I think you can share your email, and uh, we can look into this role as well. And we have pretty, you can say, good tenders and the projects. Uh, but like, okay, it depends on the individual foresight and commitment before we commit also to the client. So, as a bridge between the client and individual, we play a significant role if one is clear that what he or she want to do in future. So we will be more than happy to help to the candidate if you can get the profile in.
Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for that. I'll put down the LinkedIn here. If you'll connect through the LinkedIn, probably be faster. And then we'll definitely take the things forward. Any other questions? We still have 25 participants, so I'm sure we are thinking about some questions. Rajwal, thanks for the comment. Priya has a question. Do you have any project-based work also?
Yes, like okay, for a very specialist role, let's say someone is a specialist in modeling, someone is a specialist in the designing. If there is someone a specialist in air quality sections, or let's say someone is in the natural system. So yes, we do have it, and possibly like okay, again you can drop your interest very specifically in the role, and we will consider for uh, that specific role.
Thanks, Satya. So any other questions, guys? Let us know. There's still 25 participants, so I'm sure you're contemplating questions or trying to raise hand, which I was trying to look for any raised hands, but we have most activity on the chat, it looks like.
So I think like one of the question, like in terms of the roles, like okay, we are in that way. We don't use the proud word, but we definitely consider that as an integrated sustainability firm, which is covering the all aspect of the sustainability in today's market to shape the person for the good intent to contribute back wherever they are going to be in future in any role. So therefore, if anyone goes through the website, they find that the kind of the work that we have been doing as an integrated way, all the things which have been mentioned, we have been doing or we are doing with the some other clients. So so we rather say that this is the role. I have to very specifically say that our journey for the last 10 years have been in a way that everyone has the different skills, and we try to identify those skills in the first 6 months rather than the predetermined role. Definitely, we take the candidate for the predetermined role, but if we find someone is good in the another one, try to fix them for those specific so that he or she can excel into their own field. Okay, because we understand, to be frankly, like okay, in the beginning, everyone just want to get the job, but not everyone is very clear also that why in which sector they want to work. And I have to say in to the all people that consulting is the one of the most choosy field where people should be clear about that yes, I'm choosing the consulting and this is where like I will work in the flexible hours and client may call at any time and you have to deliver out on given date any deliverable which it is. So um, in terms of like okay specifying the very specific role, again like okay we open it to various time you can at the different time the various roles, so you can always be in touch with the HR and then she can let you know what are the roles available.
Thanks, Satyapal, for your insight there. Any other sustainability or the webinar related questions, please? I'm just conscious of time. We have about 2-3 more minutes. We could take questions. We still have 20 participants in the room. All right, looks like there are no more questions in the chat. I didn't see a hand raised, so we'll call it a day. Thank you so much again, everybody, for participating. We appreciate your time, attentions, and the comments and questions. Thank you again, G3S CEO Satyapal, our CTO Chalamraj. Thank you all. See you again on the next webinar. Don't forget to follow our LinkedIn page, and then you will have our next webinar continuing with the same sustainability learning for all. Also, the recording will be available on our YouTube channel, which we'll share. So watch out for your emails. Thank you again. Appreciate it. And find us on LinkedIn. We're always happy to connect. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you, AJ, for this wonderful arrangement, and thank you all for joining for today's webinar. We look forward for the next webinar, which you will be hearing very soon on the sustainability and carbon-related topics. And as AJ stated, please keep following our LinkedIn page and YouTube channel, and you will see the lot more which is going to come up in coming time to transform the complete industry. Have a good day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.